Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Monster Taming and Chill podcast, where we get the privilege of interviewing various game developers to achieve a greater insight on their games. Now, today I'm very pleased to have both Jon and Zane on the channel, the developers behind Mythrin, an upcoming 3D monster tamer with real-time combat. How's it going, guys?
Going good.
Hey there.
Good?
Yeah.
So, Mithrin sort of falls into that category of games where they're still really early in development, so there's a lot of mystery behind the project. So it's actually going to make this episode quite interesting. I guess I'll just start with the basic questions that we ask everyone. Tell us about yourselves.
All right, Zane, do you want me to go first or you go first?
I mean, you're the lead of the project, so I'll let you lead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jon. So yeah, like Zane said, I'm the lead of the project. So a little bit of my background, I'm a game developer from Ohio. I started doing game development stuff in like 8th grade, deciding I was going to be a programmer. Then I decided programming sucks, shifted to doing pixel art. And I just made like all these small little games with groups of people in the game maker community for a long time. Then when I went to college, I focused in 3D animation. And when I was getting my master's, I started working on a short film and decided somewhere in that I wanted to make a monster taming game, which I'll probably get into later. Um, and so I shifted that to being my master's project, like a short little demo of an idea for that. And I started growing a team while I was in Connecticut. And that's where I met Zane. I went to the Game Developers Conference. And from there, Mythrin kind of grew into what it is today.
Cool.
I'm Zane. I'm a first 3D character artist, but then I also do various other tasks, especially with going further into Mythrin. I just kind of pick up what needs to be done. But my background is more of art related, and most of my game development experience is more from like secondhand sources of like either playing the absurd amount of games I own or watching videos on games and game development. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so when it comes to Mithrin, like I said before, there's a lot of stuff we don't know about the game. So, could you guys, and I was very vague in my description of it because I figured it'd be better I let you guys describe the game. So, could you guys describe what Mithrin is to you and how it sort of sets itself apart from other games in the genre?
Yeah, so to me, Mythrin is kind of a love letter to monster raising in particular. So I think the tagline we've been using is a social sim action RPG. So there's a lot of involvement of socialization between you and your monster and making sure that you guys establish some sort of friendship. There's the action element and the active battle system, and then the RPG because there's a large narrative focus
Yeah.
since you're playing as a character in this world, and you have to kind of go through their life experience, I guess, in this specific time period. Um, and then what sets it apart is, I think, the large focus on establishing a friendship with your monster. I know a lot of other monster taming games have some sort of element of that, but in Mythrin it is a very large focus and it impacts pretty much everything that you do in the game.
Yeah. Like, for example, like evolution is tied to your bond with your creature. So, like, instead of leveling up and then evolving, you have to like raise your bond up to a certain point before you can even do that.
Okay. Would
So-
you compare the game to? And I don't have a lot of experience with this game myself, but would you draw any sort of parallels with a game like Monster Rancher?
Yes, 100%. I played Monster Rancher Advance for the Game Boy Advance all the time when I was a kid, even when I was an adult, while I was working at like various different small jobs. I would just be playing Monster Rancher on like emulators on my phone and stuff. So I'm very heavily influenced by that game.
I might have to. I didn't even know Monster Rancher had a Game Boy Advance version. I might have to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And since it's a Game Boy Advance game, you can play it pretty easily.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna check it out. Give me something to do while I'm at work.
Yep.
So I guess this is so this is a question for both you guys. Well, okay, so my question is, what inspired you to create Mythrin? And I know Jon said he's the lead on the project. So I guess for Jon, what inspired you to create the idea? And for Zane, what inspired you to join the team?
So I said I started game development in 8th grade.
Yeah.
The first thing that I wanted to make was a monster raising game. I made these really crappy, like pixel art sprites of my monster, and actually, Raccoon is inspired by one of the designs from that 8th grade John.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I've been wanting to make ones for a really long time, and I think it was December of 2018. I decided for the new year, I was like, well, no one's making any active battle monster raising games. I've been waiting for one to show up for a really long time.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start one, and it could move slow, it can move fast, but I just want to like start making the idea so we can see it happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I got started.
What about you, Zane?
Jon, do you want to go into how you met me first before I go into that bit?
Oh yeah, so I guess I could go into a little bit more detail instead of the starting. So before I get to how I met Zane, I actually, when I started the idea, I was talking with one of my friends who I just played games with on Discord.
Yeah.
And he said he wanted to start working on a project as a programmer, just like some random project. I was like, okay, well, I have this idea. So here's my like basic game design document. Go ahead and go wild. And that man went wild. I was to the point where it was almost like stressful because he would keep sending me messages asking questions about specifics of things in the game design document.
Yeah.
And he was working faster than I could keep up with because it was supposed to be a side project.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is crazy. So seeing him work so hard on the project actually inspired me to like push it further.
Yeah.
And then I started gathering friends that I met during my undergrad who I knew were in different fields of art. And I went to Game Developers Conference, I think in March of 2019.
Okay.
And I met Zane there because me and him had interacted in a mutual friend stream named Art Stuff.
Okay.
And so I told him I was going to be at GDC. We met up, and I told him a little bit about Mythrin, and he was like, "Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I want to join." And our team just kept growing. I think right now we're at 10 or 12 people, depending on how I look at it.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So from there, like I had shown him like a bit of my portfolio, and I think at the time he was asking for some help with the Raccoon model that he was working on. The very old one that I'll have to unearth at some point to show the drastic comparison. But I was just giving him a few pointers, and from there, that kind of relationship had like developed, and eventually I'd gotten added onto the team. And since then, it's just a modeler working on Raccoon. But since then, I've really like come to like love this project and be very like passionate about it, and just kind of try to see this project get out the door.
Yeah, no, it's definitely paying off. Like I've seen a lot of what you guys have posted on Twitter, and like the second I saw it, I'll be completely honest, I don't even remember when I found out about Mythrin, but all I remember was being like, oh crap, like this game looks really cool. So I want to talk a little bit about the combat. How important was it to incorporate real-time combat as opposed to turn-based or semi-turn-based or whatever they call it?
Yeah, that was the goal of the project when I started it. All the narrative and other aspects of the game kind of came on as I developed the game design document further. But I knew when I started, I wanted to make a game about raising monsters that has active combat. So it was extremely important, and it's kind of like the core of where the project started.
So I remember seeing like the first combat teaser. Have either of you guys played Naruto Clash of the Ninja?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Was there any inspiration in there from that because it looks very reminiscent of that style of like fighting. Which, by the way, that's my favorite Naruto game. Well, series rather, but yeah.
So it's inspired by a few different things. The camera angle specifically is kind of that Clash of the Ninja or Ninja Storm-esque camera. And the combat to an extent kind of is similar, but the core of the combat was actually inspired by this old MMO that a lot of people haven't heard of called Lost Saga.
Okay.
And it's like this arena brawler game where you have all these heroes and you could switch between them as you're fighting, and you just like press a button, you immediately switch, and you create these crazy combos. And that was the largest inspiration. But yeah, we also pulled a little bit from Naruto, Smash Bros, or certain aspects of Smash Bros actually influenced the design too.
Nice. So I guess sort of like kind of going off that because we were just talking about combat. Was there something specific about raising monsters rather than because like you said it's going to be at its core it's going to be more of like a monster raising game. Is there something about the raising element that is very like I don't know how to say the word I'm looking for, but is there something about the raising element that's very like important to you that's very you find it very like I can't think of the word, but I think you know what I mean. Like, is there something about monster raising specifically that you were like, this needs to be in my game?
Yes, and I wonder what Zane's answer to this is going to be, or his elaboration. But for me, when I was playing Monster Rancher, you only have one monster in the advanced version, and you basically spend a couple of years of in-game time training them up. And then at some point they end up dying, or you could freeze them in a capsule and fuse them with another monster. But that experience of like building up this long established bond with the monster was what really made me love monster raising games. And I think Pokemon is a huge inspiration, but Monster Rancher even more so, because I felt like, oh, this is my monster. We spent all this time training together and like going through all these tournaments. That feeling is what I want to capture in Mythrin, so that's why it's such a large aspect in the game.
What about you, Zane?
So I'm actually curious, John, to what aspect of like the bonding and training? Because I figured the training was there when I was first on the project, but how far was bonding and like the overworld interactions?
Bonding actually was not very far along when Zane joined. Yeah, it was. I had a document where I had some stuff laid out for how the system was going to work, but none of it had been implemented yet, and it still needed a lot of iteration.
I couldn't remember how much influence I had on that. Because I remember suggesting a lot of things before, like I kind of became a game designer on the project. But I know for me, it's like games kind of like Nintendogs. It's like these are the out of monster taming really, but like Nintendogs, Chow Garden, stuff like that. It's just really fun to take care of your like creatures. I think it's just interesting, and it works really well with the training aspect and the fact that the game's always been kind of set on these islands.
Yeah.
And so your home is a separate island from everything else, and so it's its own little area that you get to take care of your creatures. So I think that's kind of one of the key important things is just, taking care of them, having some fun with them, but then also training them up for these tournaments and bonding with them.
I think they should allow Nintendogs to battle. I
mean, they do.
They should promote.
Kinda.
They should.
They
promote,
have the frisbee tournaments. And there's another one.
They should battle.
Yeah, it's like
they should battle fight. Like Monster Crown style, just pool of blood.
Just have actual dog fights.
just promote animal abuse. Nintendo, come on. Actually, on that note, John, you mentioned death in terms of like Monster Rancher. If you can't confirm or deny this right now, that's fine. But I wanted to ask, do you plan on having a death mechanic in Mythrin?
I will confirm that is not the plan.
Okay.
Mainly because I don't want it to necessarily be like a stressful experience.
Yeah.
And I know if I were to add death into the game, and I were playing the game, I would just save scum every time something died. Like I would feel so bad if something died, I would just reload my save anyways. So I want it to be like fun and competitive, but also chill. So that's why
yeah.
when I add death into it.
You can go the Dark Souls route. I think that game auto saves like every second, so you can't do that unless you make like a separate PS4 save state, like cloud save or whatever.
Oh gosh. I would actually feel terrible if I did that to somebody and then their Mythrin died, and then they're just like, no.
Yeah. Just have a boss that just one shots.
How important training up and becoming friends with them is to the game.
Yeah,
that would feel awful.
Yeah.
You just instead of game over, it could just say get good.
Oh my god.
Yeah, good. You return to your home island and your Mythrin isn't there anymore. It's just like, oh god.
Mythrin is Dark Souls now.
His body's just on the ground.
I think some of those games have like I believe I have the only Souls game I haven't played is Demon Souls, but I'm pretty sure in Demon Souls every time you die the game gets harder. So can you imagine like?
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure I would just quit.
Just restart your save. It's fine.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, it's time to start a new game.
So then, like, they'll know. They'll know all the things you've done.
So, on that note, okay, so Mithrin, like you said, is going to be a monster raising experience with battles and stuff like that. So, would you say that Mithrin will provide like a fulfilling experience for all types of play styles? And what I mean by that is like some people really love like the more like bonding activities, and other people just kind of want to battle and be the best. So where does Mithrin go on that term, like in that kind of on that kind of scale?
So Mythrin will very much force you to do both the bonding activities and the battling. But on that note, we will try and balance it so there's the more casual aspects. I'm not sure about difficulty levels yet, but that's one of my like stretch goals where it's like there's the easy and then the hard. So if you're more competitive, you can play on a hard mode.
Yeah.
But also, even if we don't add that, our plan is to have PvP. So since Mythrin involves raising your stats and choosing which abilities that you take into battle, there will be a large aspect of people like building up certain teams and like trying out different stat combinations to make like a really cool balanced build. So there still is a large competitive side, even if the actual game doesn't end up having like an easy and hard mode.
Okay.
And also, like, theoretically, we'll be doing, like, harder in-game content that's harder than, like, the base game. So, if that makes sense.
Like optional content and stuff like that?
Yeah, like, optional, like, say, like, a secret boss in, like, Kingdom Hearts games. Like, there could be something of, like, similar difficulty hidden away.
Dark Souls hidden bosses.
Or like the Battle Frontier. Not like actually the Battle Frontier, because I don't think that would work with our game, because our game already operates with that, with the tournaments.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. Like optional content that sort of you don't have to do, so you kind of don't have to worry about making it a little harder, because, you know, at the end of the day, if someone doesn't want to do it, they don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's actually nice. I appreciate games that have stuff like that.
Like Mario 3D Land did that. The 3D, like, not World, but the one that's on the 3DS. So like the first half of the game, like completing the game is easy, but then the second like half of the game, which is like bonus content, is like actually kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, or like the Last World and the 3D World. Yeah,
or even Crash Bandicoot, the remake added a like a deleted level that was deleted from the original game. Like stuff like that too is nice. It's just you don't have to do it, but if you do, it's really hard. I remember having to get this is off topic, but I'm a trophy hunter, so I remember having to get the platinum for that game, and you don't have to do that to get the platinum, but I wanted all the trophies. It was really hard to get the relic time.
Yeah, I'm glad there's not like achievements for Wii U games, or else I would have probably collected all the stamps and 3D World. I did complete like 100% it, and that was kind of asinine. Of, like having to play each level with every single character.
Yeah, I'm the type
Collecting
of
all those
person.
stars, and some of them are actually really well hidden.
I'm the type of person who very rarely 100% a game unless there's achievements. Okay. Oh, this is actually a pretty interesting question because if I'm not mistaken, we so far have 3 Mythrin that are like sort of public. Do you guys have like a rough estimate of how many monsters are planned for the game?
So roughly the idea is that we would have 30 Mithrin species, so like Scowl, Careware, Raccoon, and other ones I can't mention. But so there would be ideally with like the funding that supports it, we would have 30 Mythrin, and then each Mythrin species has 3 evolutions, so that total up to 120 different Mythrin.
Oh, yes, that's right. I remember seeing something like that in the Discord. So, when you said 3 evolutions, I got confused for a second. So it's 4 monsters. It's one, and then it evolves 3 times, not 3 stages. It's 4 stages.
So it has.
Right.
Well, technically it's a 2-stage where you have to make a choice of which evolution you want to do. So you can either do one of the 2 elemental evolutions, or you could do one of the awakened. But the awakened one takes a bit longer to get access to.
Yeah, I remember you showed that off. Now it's coming back to me. Yeah, so it's like a 3-way kind of branched evolution. So you have the base, and it can turn into one of everyone's like a Gen 1 Eevee basically.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like inspired, at least with the awakened, and like it's like unlock requirement being tied towards the end of a bond is very inspired how Persona like deals with the main cast evolutions of their personas, which I didn't even know was a thing until I played 5. Like once you max out their rank, their persona will evolve as like a completing that.
You know what? I'm sad to say I've never played Persona. It's on my list now.
So good.
It's been on
Persona
my list
5
for a little while.
Is definitely what I would suggest playing first. As John found out.
Yeah, it's kind of side tangent, but Persona largely influenced the social simulation aspects of Mythrin.
Okay.
And I played Persona 5 and I loved it. And I had played Persona 4 like 5 years ago on my friend's PSP, and I remember loving it, but then I bought it on Steam when it just came out.
Yeah.
And tried playing it, and it's not it's not as good as I thought it was.
Oh.
Just like the pacing is slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do start, I would start with Persona 5 for sure.
Okay. Yeah, no, people have been telling me that Persona 5 has monster taming elements.
Yeah, so actually, the series that Persona branches off from, which is Shigami Tensei, I cannot say that.
Oh
the
my god,
SMT
they're part of the same. They're part of the same.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
so Persona 5 is the first game to not have SMT on the box. Like all the previous games had it, but Persona 5 is kind of like, yeah, we're our own thing now. Deal with it. But all the demons, which is what SMT has, are the personas and Persona.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see,
So,
I'm like this is kind of I guess kind of embarrassing, but I'm more knowledgeable in the games that are upcoming, whereas I still need to learn a lot more about games like Telefang, Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, even some more recent games. I just kind of joined the monster taming community myself about a year ago, so there's still a lot for me to learn.
Yeah, same here. Like you mentioned Telefang, and I definitely do not even know what that is.
I was like, what is that?
All right, so this is actually pretty interesting. So how many types are in the game, and how will they react in terms of in terms of the damage multiplier sense, or do you have like something else planned where it's not like ×2 if a grass type hits a water type, or is it going to be like, is it going to be damage multiplier based, or do you guys have something else planned?
So currently our types, we have 6 different types in Mythrin, and they kind of act as more broader umbrellas than Pokemon types do. Some of them are very particular just because there's not much you can really spoke off from it.
Yeah.
But those types being Earth, Fire, Water, Air, bio and arcane.
Okay.
Fire's like the most like it is what it is
Yeah.
type, but basically those just mean those Mithrin are their elemental like leniency is towards that.
Yeah.
And then their skills also are of that type.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then I think John probably is better to answer that second half of the questions, as I don't really like to touch combat design.
Yeah, so this is still in development, but the general way that I plan on having the elemental interactions go is kind of similar to Genshin Impact, if you've played that or seen anything from it recently. In that if you apply some sort of elemental effect on a Mythrin, if you apply a different effect, it will create some kind of combination that can
Okay.
either do more damage, it can apply CC, it might do a damage over time kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just depends on what the combination is.
Okay.
Because since it's active battles, I wanted to avoid having it so it's like if you send out an earth type against a fire type, you were pretty much going to lose because you take double damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay, that's really cool. Actually, when you guys were talking about how the types branch off, so I'm assuming, I guess, like if we were to compare it to Pokemon types, I guess fire could like incorporate. I don't know if you guys are gonna have any dragons, but fire would incorporate that, I guess. Did you guys say there was like an electric type or no? Or would that be into air?
Electric's part of air.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then I guess ice would be part of water, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
I don't think dragon, because dragon's more of a
It's a species.
design
it's a
trait,
strange,
and
yeah.
that's like the way we design Mythrin. Which I don't remember if that was one of the questions, but the way we design Mythrin is that we take two animals,
Yeah.
and some like I think we said dragons can be part of that pool, like that pool of animals that we can use.
Okay.
So you take two animals and then add an element, and that's a Mythrin. So yeah.
Okay. So because like Pokemon has a lot of types that you wouldn't necessarily consider really an element. Like they got bug, they got fairy, they got dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Those are more like species rather than types. You know what I mean? Like you can have an ice dragon. It doesn't have to be dragon type, or you can have a bug that's made of like you can have a fire bug. It doesn't even have to be like a specific bug types. I noticed like the vast majority of Monster Tamer games, I can't even think of one that actually has these types. There might be one or two out there, but yeah, like most of them, they cut out the three species types. They usually don't have like fighting, because like fighting is just like a trait. Like
yeah, I think for Mythrin, at least currently, I mean, obviously, like we could restructure the types at some point, but of like what gets classified under it, but like what would be the fighting type goes under bio, I believe.
Okay.
And so yeah, like I think one of our like personal favorites is a fighting bio type. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I could see like the arcane type kind of taking like psychic, fairy, stuff like that.
I think
Light,
currently
maybe.
the idea is bio has psychic, but that could
okay.
change. But it's like, so arcane's more like magic, like darkness, light, kind of those more like type of tropes, more wizardy tropes. And then bio is like poison, psychic would be in there, fighting, some more like biological or physical.
Yeah.
Something originating from the body, so it's just why classify psychic in there as well.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen a biotype, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you might see one eventually.
Okay, so what are the most challenging parts of developing Mythrin for both of you?
Do you want to go first, John? Who's going first?
Sure, I'll go first. I think to me, it is the aspect of learning to manage a larger team. Because, like I've said, I've been doing game development stuff for a really long time now, but the teams I was working with was usually like 2 or 3 people max.
Yeah.
And Mythrin, because I knew it was a larger project, I knew I would need more people than that. And it's been kind of a learning experience,
Oh, for sure.
learning how to try and manage that many people, and it still is a learning experience. But
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, or I've enjoyed some aspects of it. Let's say that. But yeah, that's definitely been the most challenging part for me.
And I think for me is that I have like this extreme passion for the project as someone who came onto the project,
Hmm.
and so I really actively want to make sure it moves along, and so we can see it in a reasonable time, like
Yeah.
finished and released. So I've been picking up a lot of different roles that I previously didn't do, just to make sure that the project would. They're like stuff I've dabbled in, but nothing I've actually taken to a full professional degree. And just kind of pushing that, like community management and social media.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of what I've been handling, along with a friend of mine, aiding me in that, and just giving advice.
So do you guys have?
Definitely.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, John?
Oh, I was gonna say, so if you notice, Zane's kind of like the vocal community person, and I'm the in the background. I show up sometime and comment on stuff person.
That's pretty normal. Actually, quite a few of the games that I sort of cover, that there's always a one person that's sort of the community guy, and then you got to kind of go through them to get to everyone else, you know?
Yeah, which is funny because I feel like if we were to do like, say, like, I don't know, like a Nintendo Direct thing where you have someone on screen, like I don't think I would be that person on screen.
Which is weird.
I definitely think it would be John.
Fine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's like it's kind of funny, because like the online stuff I'm completely fine with, but then it's like the in-person face-to-face is like, hi.
Yeah, I can understand that. Do you guys have anybody on the team that's and I'm gonna out myself for being like this. I'm the type of person that in college, whenever we'd get a group assignment, same with high school, I'd just be like, yeah, no way. I'm not I'm doing it all myself. Like, I don't trust anybody. You guys have any problems with that?
I don't think so. I think Zane's definitely like I am going to make sure that things get done person on the team. But I feel like he does a pretty good job of making sure that nobody feels like, oh, this person's just taking all the work because they don't think I could do it. It's been a pretty collaborative effort.
That's good.
I've been lucky, to have a good team like that.
I'm bad. I could not care less. I'd let my whole group do nothing and get a good mark just so I got a better mark. I was like, don't touch anything. You can have a free mark. Okay, so the next question I have here is, so we just talked about the most challenging parts of development. What's your favorite thing to develop in regards to Mythrin?
For me, it's definitely combat designs, which is interesting because for the vertical slice, the combat's actually in a good enough spot that I haven't been able to touch it for a while. But the combat designs, I love creating them. Like every time we come up with a new Mithrin, start thinking about different moves that they can have and how they'll work, and it's really fun.
Oh yeah. What about you, Zane?
For me, I think the emblems have been pretty fun so far, is designing those, since they're like an auxiliary thing that didn't exist before, and I just designed one. I was like, wait, why don't we we designed the emblem that is like the Mythrin species like emblem, and then I kind of thought about it. It's like, what happens if we gave them all this and kind of used it as a gameplay element? And I've just kind of enjoyed making those. They kind of have like this tribal kind of esque thing that kind of goes in with the island setting. I don't know. They're just interesting, and iterating on those with the team has been fun.
Okay. Can you expand a little bit more on what exactly the emblems are? Are they like are they sort of like gym badges, or are they more like something that each island associates with?
I would say they're more of like a collectible, which is like a weird way to put it. But like, so on, say, like Zone 1, there will be, depending on how many Mythrin are in the game, there will be like 3 or 4 different sets of emblems that you could come across. And once you find one, you'll like start a quest to find the rest of the pieces pieces, and once you find those pieces, you can go through a Mythrin portal and potentially get a Mythrin, depending if they. Some are a little bit more lax and will join you, but some others will like require you to do some more stuff. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay, interesting. So this is a big question that everybody asks on every video I post ever. Do you guys have an estimated release window for the game?
Oh, then I'll
Oh,
let
do
you
you want me
tackle it.
to?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tackle that. So I would say theoretically it would be, if things go according to plan within the next few months, it would land around about 2023 to 2024 would
Okay.
probably be when it would be released, given how big the game is and like the funding and everything that we would need for a project of this scale
Yeah.
to come to fruition.
Yeah. So this sort of compounding on that question. Do you guys plan on having and if you don't know yet, you could just say you don't know, but do you guys plan on having any sort of like closed or open like alpha and beta testing and stuff like that?
I would say to some degree there will definitely be closed beta and alpha testing, just because we need people to test the game and see through the flaws for us, because we will play it a certain way every single time. Even if we try to deviate from that, we're not going to be amazing at like changing it up. So having other people play it and give us their feedback is very important.
Yeah.
As to how that will be done, we're not exactly sure yet. Currently, a lot of our focus is on vertical slice and just making sure that's playable.
Yeah.
As it isn't be able to play through from start to finish quite yet. So yeah.
Makes sense. So on to the fan questions, which we got some spicy ones here. The first question was already answered. It was by Bisloba. So you guys did say you have plans for PvP. Now, I guess I can kind of, and I know the game's still very early in development, but I guess I can kind of like add to his question. So in terms of PvP, do you have like any specific like modes you had in mind? Like, for example, we've seen one-on-one combat. Do you have plans for like 2-on-2 and stuff like that?
So there's nothing inherently planned for 2-on-2 specifically, but we have talked about having different game modes because the game supports having more than just two people fighting at once.
Yeah.
But we have not defined anything specifically as to what those game modes will be.
Okay. Makes sense.
And we do actually have an instance where it's not your typical 1v1, which is the Darkren battles. They can be 1v1s or up to currently 1v3s. But those are more of a single player experience than a multiplayer.
Okay.
But that system allows the like possibility for like 2v2s or something like that. But I don't know if that would be feasible with the game's design.
So upon entering combat in the game, and sorry, this is a little off from the from the fan questions, but upon entering combat, are you going to like? Is the combat going to be like just instantaneous, like so you see it in the overworld and you just start fighting it, or is it gonna sort of take you into like a ring?
So it takes you into a ring, and if there's actually two different situations that can pop up. If you're fighting a Darkren, you get taken into that ring, and then the fight just starts after a small countdown.
Yeah.
If you're fighting another Mythrin trainer, it actually shows you a screen where it shows your Mythrin stats versus the enemy Mythrin stats.
Okay, cool.
So so you could gauge kind of like how strong am I compared to this person?
Yeah.
And like if they have high defense, is that going to change my strategy? Like that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then once you close that screen, the battle starts.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I actually really like that. Yeah, I figured as much because I saw the on Twitter specifically. I saw the little clip of the battling, and I noticed they were in a ring. So that's what I assumed. So that's pretty interesting. I actually like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so why did you make the Mythrin sapient, and do they have further written communication like glyphs? And Aquila Tequila asked that.
Right. So I can answer the written communications thing, and the answer is I'm unsure. We haven't gotten there
Like,
yet.
there could be.
Yeah.
I think
But
there's like plans for maybe there to be, but there's nothing 100% set in stone in that regard.
yes. And for why they're sapient, it was a decision based off of the fact that we wanted it to be about raising this bond,
Yeah.
and we want the main character in this game to go through this phase of growth themselves.
Yeah.
And since it's supposed to have a large focus on interactions between the main character and the Mythrin,
Yeah.
we wanted you to be able to interact with them in conversations, and like you get to see you and the Mythrin grow together.
Yeah. Okay.
Rather than they're kind of like your pet, and you get this vague like, oh, they seem like they like me or whatever kind of thing. So yeah, that was a general reason that we decided to go that way.
Okay. And
Yeah,
oh, sorry. Continue, Zane.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and I'm sure since we've integrated a lot more of the persona elements from their social systems, like that just only solidifies like it's like the way you could think of it is like instead of social links with humans, you're having social links with your creatures.
Yeah.
So it only further gives us a reason to make them sentient, or else you're just talking to a critter who's barking at you.
Okay.
It's kind of weird.
So is there like I'm asking this for me, but also for anyone that might not know. This person asked about sapience specifically, and I know there's a difference between sapience and sentience. What are the major differences between the two?
I knew that at some point, and I do not anymore.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I'm pretty sure I knew it when I took this question down, but now I'm kind of like I don't really remember what the difference is.
I think sapience, according to Google, is basically like they're able to like have knowledge, kind of like how we have like written history and knowledge and certain things like that. Like something sentient wouldn't have that per se, but they're like self-aware. Where
oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember. That's right. That's right.
Sapience is more of like further I can't say that word.
Yeah, you know what? I remember because people were saying the like Pokemon are sentient, and even though I'm going to use Kindred Fates as an example, Kindred Fates says their monsters are sentient. I think they're really sapient because they're just like they're like Digimon, right? So
Yeah.
sentient, like a dog, like your dog is sentient, like it can have feelings, it can experience stuff, but it's not sapient. It can't go like it doesn't understand the concept of its own mortality and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I remember now.
Yeah.
I think that's where that lands.
And I think Mythrin is a similar boat where they're similar to Digimon. That was a large influence on the story as well, because I actually really love the Digimon TV show.
Oh,
I think
me
even
too.
more so than the Pokemon one.
Yeah. I was in the same boat. I always liked
Yeah.
Digimon Adventures,
Yeah.
none of that other stuff.
Yeah, we're not
remember-
going to talk about the Fusion one
The
where the
third
Digimon weren't
season,
even in the
though,
show.
that third season's like actually legitimately good. Like still.
You talking about the one with Guiomon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which one's that?
Guiomon.
the
The,
one
like,
with
red
the
dino
fan made, like
Digimon.
the in universe fan made Digimon.
Oh no, the only ones I know are the Digimon Adventures. There's one where they swipe cards, and then there's the one where they turn into Digimon.
Yeah, so the ones where they swipe the cards, that's
Yeah.
the one I'm talking about.
Oh, that
Yeah.
one was alright.
That's
I
season
didn't. I
3.
I didn't mind that one. That one was alright.
That one like still holds up, and the animation,
Yeah.
like will just randomly pop off, and it's great.
I've only watched it as a kid, but I remember still enjoying it. It was when they started transforming into Digimon that I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was, to me it was cool in that season specifically, but then season 4 where like the Digimon weren't even part of it. It's just they
Yeah, that's what I
transformed
mean.
at
That's
the
what I
same
mean.
time.
I know in
Yeah.
season 3 they like fused with their Digimon.
Yeah.
I was okay with that, but I wasn't okay with the they're like them not like they were the Digimon in season 4.
Yeah, that was awful. I was not a fan.
Okay, so this question, unfortunately, I don't have I think her Marlon asked this question. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. For some reason, I don't have it written down. But they asked, I guess it says what technology level is the game set in. So I'm guessing they mean like what sort of age is the game set in? Like, is it modern? Is it like medieval, etc.?
Yeah, it's it's kind of like a hard question to answer, but it is definitely not modern.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a little bit more advanced than medieval. I'd compare it somewhere closer to steampunk, but like we don't have vehicles
Yeah,
and
I think
gears.
at
Okay.
least last I know, I'm about to get a lore discussion soon, so I'll actually be caught up with that. But last I knew, there was like talkings of forms of magic tech, but it's like
Yes.
primitive. Like it's
Okay.
not their magic tech isn't something widespread, where it's more limited to like tamers.
Okay.
Last I spoke with about it, so that's like with a grain of salt.
Okay. Okay. So this is this question is definitely from Hermarlin. He wrote a lot of devs said they're open to the idea of crossover slash collaborations. So are there any in particular that you would like to, or sorry, it's a little broken up here. With which you would want to do, or one that your opinion of crossovers has. Sorry, I'm gonna break this up here. He's basically asking, are you guys interested in crossovers?
So yes, that hasn't changed. We're still interested in doing like either cameos or like full on crossovers, depending on like. I mean, so that comes down to like a funding thing to some
Yeah,
degree, like
yeah.
doing a full on crossover, which would have to be like, say, if we did a Kickstarter, that would have to be somehow tied to that.
Okay.
But like for like cameos where you like either have like a small reference or
Yeah.
like something that doesn't require a full 3D model to be fully balanced and playable, is that's possible still.
And I
Very
guess
much kind of want to do.
the first part of his question was, is there anyone in specific that you that you'd be interested in? I guess let's say if there were like no limits.
I think that one's obvious for me, but that's because I'm a big Pokemon shell. But
Yeah.
outside of that, Kindred Fates, that would be pretty cool. I love their like monster designs, like K Knight and some other creatures are just like good designs, and also same with their human characters are also pretty great designs as well.
Yeah, and part of the reason I would also like to do a crossover with Kindred Fates is because they actually started development at the same time that we did.
Oh, okay.
And then they're also from Ohio, which is where I'm based. So it would just be really cool to have a crossover with these two monster taming companies in Ohio. I think
Yeah,
it's really
and
fun.
you know that there are some parallels to be drawn too, because your game
Yeah.
also like there's not a lot of 3D monster tamers. Firstly, like there's you guys, there's Kindred Fates, there's Anitons, there's a few others like Laxidays and stuff, but it's not like the majority are either pixel art or I don't know what you'd consider Nexomon. It's not really pixel art, but you know what I mean.
I mean it's sprite, so I mean I would
Yeah,
just say sprite based.
yeah. Basically, there's not a whole lot. And then you look at the 3D, real time combat too, right? Like that's also something that's not very widespread. So it would definitely be interesting, and it'd be fitting too.
Right.
Okay, so Ducky asked us actually. What's the process of creating a Mithrin?
So we kind of talked about this earlier, but I guess we can probably elaborate on it more, I think. So when we design a Mithrin, we kind of like a rule set that we kind of follow, which is you take two creatures, use one of those creatures as the main base for that Mithrin, and then you add an element. So for like Raccoon, he is a raccoon and pangolin, and also he's got a bit of Tanuki anatomy in there. But that's a little bit more of a minor thing. Scowl, for example, is a fire red panda, which is more prevalent within his gameplay whenever we actually get him in the game. That'll be a lot more prevalent with his effects.
Okay.
And then Careware is a frog and like I think a tree frog and flying squirrel, which is where his like tail comes from and some other elements. And he's air based.
Right. And then from the narrative side, this is still kind of like an in progress view, but basically we decide like what kind of character arc we want the Mithrin to go through. So since Kaya is learning more about their Mithrin through their experience, there's some character arc that the Mithrin is going through, and Kaya is helping them through that, and they're learning about each other. So we try to establish that for the Mithrin's narrative side, and then to elaborate a little bit further on combat, we try and decide like a class that we associate the Mithrin with. So you could be like an all-rounder, they could be rushdown, tank, zoner. We have one called unorthodox,
Oh,
which
okay,
is
makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, there's like if you try to look at it from how it breaks down, there's like the art and design side, the narrative side, and then the combat side.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to get into like what, at least like the three starters and like what play styles that we're currently aware they fulfill.
Oh yeah, so Raccoon is an all-rounder, partially because he was the first Mythrin designed, and partially because that's how I intended him to be. So he could do like a little bit of everything. Caroware,
Mario for our game.
Exactly. Caroware is a zoner actually. He's like a mobile zoner.
Okay.
And you know those little like wind tunnels on his arms kind of makes sense. He's shooting out all these wind blasts. And Scowl is a rushdown character.
Okay, so I'm picking Scowl.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of people love Scowl.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Yeah. I'm happy people love him since I was the one who like originally concepted him.
Yep.
So it's very fun to see when people like him because not a lot changed from his like design transition.
It's like tiny things. So I'm just happy to see people love him. And same with the other Mythrin as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this next question, this is from Leo, and he's not going to stop until I ask someone this question. What's your favorite book?
See, now I am sad that he finally got this question, but on this podcast, mainly because I actually haven't read a novel in like quite some time.
I'm in the same boat. That's why I haven't asked it much, because I'm like, I don't read books.
I could say when I was younger, one of my favorite books was Inkheart.
Okay.
Though the movie came out and that I didn't even watch it. I saw the trailer and I was like, no, this is gonna be bad. And apparently it was bad, but I can't say it for sure since I haven't seen it. But yeah, the novel was great. Inkheart is great.
For me, I think it would be Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's like one of the few novels I've read and actually really enjoyed. And then there was also like these are all like a while ago now. I think that was during high school when I read that, and then before that, be like maybe middle school. I read it's like The City of Ember or something. That series, I actually kind of liked that series a lot. At least when I was that age. I don't know if they held up, but it was a very interesting concept of the city under the ground.
Oh, okay.
They made a movie. The movie was but like it's a very interesting world. And same with I think another book called Unraveled. That was also very interesting. Like world setup. And that one was kind of morbid. Where people like the parents would decide whether or not the kid gets unraveled at a certain age.
Okay.
Like it's basically like the most like literal version of like coming to age, but you know it's being decided by other people.
Oh, okay.
And what it needs to be unraveled is to be like literally unraveled. Like they like take you apart, and then those get used as donations for whenever someone has like a medical injury.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's a very interesting like set. I think it's like an interesting world can like overwrite a bad narrative for me. Like with Ruby. I really love Ruby, but some of the writing is like hit or miss. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. But yeah, the world and characters are just interesting on like conceptually.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it to some degree.
Yeah, for me, some of the books that like the vast majority of books I've ever read were mandatory for school. So we had like The Giver, Maniac McGee. I think those are like middle school ones.
What?
And we had
I've never heard of Maniac McGee.
I barely remember the story behind it. All I remember as a kid was allergic to pizza. I think it was about a kid who ran away from home. In the I think it was like back in like the 50s or something. And then we also had like you guys have probably heard of like Lord of the Flies, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
So like the funny thing about To Kill a Mockingbird, the only thing I could really remember is like the fact that one of the characters was dressed up as a ham for, I think, Halloween or something.
I don't even remember.
Some
I do
event
not
or
remember that
school-based
too.
thing. Because I remember my teacher pointing it out and then like drawing it, and it was quite hilarious.
I used Spark Notes for half that book.
No.
I think I also like, and during it in class reading, there was like a bit of text that said "hmm," and I just like audibly said that, and the person like immediately in front of me like laughed because I just read it. It was there, and I was still being told to read everything.
Yeah.
I was like, "hmm," and so yeah.
But I have to say, there was
few
this,
memories. Of
the only book
have.
I ever probably read without being, well, I kind of was forced because we had this system in grade 9 where you had to read like a certain, you basically had to read a book and then do a quiz on it, and then you'd get points, and you had to get a certain amount of points on the computer to like, and it was worth like 10% of your mark, right? It was basically easy 100, but you had to actually do it. You'd have to read a few books, but so what I did was I cheated. I used all the Harry Potter books. And I watched the movies, so I was able to get enough from what I remembered of the movies to pass those to get some of the points.
Oh my god!
But then I did read one book, and it was like a boxing book. It was called like The Brave or something, and it was pretty good. But I don't know how it stands up, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually used to read a ton when I was in middle school, and then I started reading manga, and
Oh god, if we
Yeah.
count that, yeah, I read a lot of that.
See,
Yeah,
I'm not
manga
as well
destroyed
versed
my
with
novel
manga. The only thing I've ever like sat through and read is My Hero. Although I used to read manga in like middle school because they had it in the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like me. Yeah, that was like me.
That's about it with manga for me.
So I gotta. Okay, I'm gonna ask this question because I ask it to everyone. I guess we only have 3 Mythren, so each of you, who's your favorite Mythrin so far?
So
oh no, go ahead, go first.
I'll go first because we have we want to do something a little special since we only have 3 Mythren to really talk about. With the Mythrin that we have officially revealed, I would say Scowl is my favorite. Definitely not biased. But out of the Mythrin that we haven't revealed, I would have
Ooh.
to say the Mythrin under the name Rad Blad, which you might have noticed in the Discord as the like title for like moderator on high. That would be my favorite Mythrin.
Okay.
So currently. So yeah.
Definitely have to keep an eye out for that one.
And then my currently favorite release Mithrin is Gracoon, 100% biased. And
Well, hold on. Question: is it base Gracoon or arcane Gracoon?
oh, it's 100% Arcane Gracoon.
Ooh.
The design's
Arcane
really
Gracoon's
good.
Gracoon,
He's definitely my favorite out of the 2 so far.
Yeah, Arcane Gracoon is super sick. But my favorite unreleased Mithrin under the code name Soft Fist.
Yeah.
I think is his code name. That is my current favorite unreleased Mithrin.
Okay. Soft Fist.
Yeah. That one's been a design nightmare, but he's also like the favorite for like a lot of people on our team. So
Did you guys import Neji from Naruto? You're like, oh, he's got the soft, gentle fist, you know?
No, but I'll add that to the list of references.
Pressure
Yeah.
point strikes.
that'll
Sounds
that'll be a alpha soft fist.
It's weak to anything related to wood. Okay, this is a bonus question. And I think that this is probably the most important question that I've ever asked anyone, not even in terms of podcasts. Just this is the most important question I've ever asked anyone in the history of ever. And I think that anyone's asked in the history of ever.
Pray do tell.
So it's specifically for Zane.
Oh.
And all it is it says foreheads with a question mark.
Foreheads.
Yes.
Foreheads.
If you don't have a good answer, Clash is going to be really disappointed.
John failed me. I had a whole thing set up for this question.
Oh. Oh. Oh yeah, I blew it.
Yeah,
But-
you blew it.
Since I blew it, I will give my response to the question, which is entirely different from what Zane was trying to set me up with, which is 5 heads.
What do you guys... Wow, you know, that's actually probably the most philosophically advanced answer that anybody could give to such a question. What about you, Zane?
Agreed. I don't know. I'm personally a fan of Jihugic foreheads, but to each their own, I guess.
I'm gonna pull out my trap card and activate 6 heads. So I think at 6 heads we're pretty much like we've unlocked the sixth sense at that point.
Well, okay, we can't just go crazy, right? I mean, 4 heads is one thing. 5 heads is like peak 4 heads. 6 heads is just I can't even fathom.
It's basically Dragon Ball Z power
like,
scaling.
Make your brain explode. It's like a Cthulian or a Cthulian. Why is that what I said? But basically, it's like Cthulhu. Don't look at it, or else you'll explode.
Yeah, it's essentially Dragon Ball Z power scaling. You got they're strong enough to destroy a mountain, then suddenly they're destroying the universe. It's fine. That's fine. 6
Instead
heads
of the
destroys
hair
the universe.
getting bigger, it's the forehead that gets bigger.
Beautiful.
Now that's a Dragon Ball show I want.
It's kind of funny because Coromon recently had an update where they reduced forehead sizes.
Gosh.
And
It's so weird.
they were like, "No!" in the Discord.
It's like, I don't know if you would call it a meme. Probably a meme. This thing that has originated from me has like seeped into the monster taming community. I'm like, what? Of course I did.
I'm
this
pretty
by
sure.
accident.
I'm pretty sure though the vast majority of people who watch this podcast are gonna have no idea what we're talking about. And I'm very sorry for that, guys. We got about like 10% of my total audience in the Discord. So I mean the most active people will definitely, like, the most people watching this will definitely be from the Discord. But if you're not in the Discord or have no idea what's going on, just remember
Apologies.
foreheads. All right, just remember.
Yes.
All right, so oh, we have fun here. So I get that's the end of the very important question list. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add before we sort of wrap things up?
I've got nothing.
I
Mainly
mean, I
because I
can't
didn't
think of
prepare anything.
anything. I mean, we have plans for things in like the next, like, I think it's this month or next month. It's kind of lenient because we've been busy on the vertical slice, but we have social media plans basically. And keep your eye out for that. There might be something of a video format to watch.
Is this the part where we're supposed to plug our Discord and Twitter?
Yes.
Or is that-
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that thing.
Yes, I will link both of those in the description. I might have to get a public invite off you guys. I don't remember if I already have one of those from you guys or if I'm able to create my own.
I can shoot it to you.
All right, perfect. And yeah, so I guess, as is customary with these podcasts, you guys can just start listing off your social insurance numbers and your credit card numbers for everyone, and we can call it a day.
Oh, okay. So my social
That's
security.
how you know you're not from the States.
Oh.
Social insurance?
Yeah, we call it a SIN number. You guys, I guess, call it a
Sin.
social security. You guys call it an SSN, I guess? Social
Yeah.
security.
Yeah, social security number.
Yeah, we have SIN.
So mine is 111-123-1234.
Damn, that's such a common number. I don't, every time I ask someone, they're always going with that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Although I'm sorry to whoever has a social security number if somebody actually tries to steal your identity.
Come on, guys, it's not stealing it. Why can't you just share?
Yeah, you're right.
Sharing
Somebody
is
tried to steal
caring.
your identity.
Yeah. The world's only going to progress if we all share.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, definitely like we said, check out Mythrin on Twitter as well as Discord. I'll make sure to leave their social media links in the description. I'll make sure to remember. Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure having you guys on, and to everyone else watching, thanks for doing so. Until next time, guys. Peace.